Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala ashraf al-anbiya'i wal-mursaleen. Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd. Ikhwatul Islami ibadallah. There was a question posed to me via text message. And the question is as follows. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Is it prescribed to perform sajda ash-shukr when memorizing ayah of the Quran and any other piece of Islamic knowledge like hadith or a certain amount of Arabic words? Now, first and foremost, I respond with wa alaikumus salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Second, I apologize to the person who sent the question for the late response. But I'm doing this video because I think the question will be beneficial for the general people. And so when answering this question, I like to read a fatwa of Sheikh bin Baz from his website, and it's under the heading, Ma ma'na sujud ash-shukr wa hukmuhu. That what is the meaning of the prostration of thankfulness and its ruling. And so it says as su'al, but it begins al-ukht al-mustami'a min al-qasim burayda ba'athat bi risalatin wa dammanatha arba'a as'ila. So he says that it states that there is a sister who's listening from Qasim who sent a message, and she included within this message 4 questions. Fi su'aliha al-awwal tas'al wa taqul. So in her first question, she says, and she asks and says, Ma huwa sujud ash-shukr wa hal yasjud fi salat am bidun salat. So she states, what is the prostration of thankfulness, and is the prostration within the prayer or outside of the prayer? وهل حكمه حكم سجود الصلاة من حيث الطهارة. So she continues, and is its ruling the same as the ruling of the sujud in the prayer, in that one has to have purification and the private parts have to be covered, and other than that, or no? And then she states, and what are the recommended supplications that are said therein? Yani, in the prostration of thankfulness. So Sheikh bin Baz, he responds, Sujud ash-shukr huwa as-sujud min ajli ni'matin 'ammatin saqaha Allahu lil muslimin aw ni'matin khassatin saqaha Allahu lil shakhs ka wujud walad lahu wa ka salamatihi min hadath. He states that the prostration of thankfulness, it is a prostration for the purpose of a general, widespread blessing that Allah pour forth upon the Muslims, or a specified or particularized blessing that Allah pour forth upon an individual, like the existence of a child for him, or being safe, being protected or safeguarded from some type of mishap, or whatever is similar to that. And he continues with me just translating. So when Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, when it reached him of the killing of Musaylima, the liar, he prostrated to Allah, being thankful to Allah upon this blessing of the killing of this vile individual, this enemy of Allah, Musaylima al-Kadhab, the Musaylima the liar. So whenever it is announced to a person something that brings about his happiness, his delight, and he prostrates to Allah subhanah, a prostration of thankfulness, فَهَذَا يُقَالُ لَهُ سُجُودَ الشُّكْرِ, then this is dubbed or a title the prostration of thankfulness. وَيُقَالُ فِيهِ مَا يُقَالُ فِي سُجُودِ الصَّلَاةِ, and what that which is said in a prostration for the salah is said in the prostration of thankfulness. And then he mentions what we normally say in the salah, in what we say when prostrating in the salah. Subhana Rabbi al-A'la, Subhana Rabbi al-A'la, Subhanaka Allahumma Rabbana wa bihamdik, Allahumma ighfirli. So he mentions what we normally say, and then he states, and then the person supplicates, that individual supplicates within that sujood, like he would supplicate within the salah. And so he continues, and what is correct is that purification does not make a condition for this prostration, the prostration for thankfulness. On the contrary, it is like the prostration for at-tilawa or recitation. And what is correct is that there is no prerequisite, or purification is not made a prerequisite for any of the two. Meaning you could prostrate without being in wudu, right? بل لا مانع من السجود وإن كان على غير طهارة. So he states that there is nothing that will prevent an individual from prostrating, although he may not be in a state of purification. So if a person starts to recite the Quran and he is not in a state of purification and he passes by a verse of prostration, then it is legislated for him to make the sujood, although he may not be in a state of purification. وهكذا سجود الشكر ليس له شرط الطهارة. And that is the same case with the prostration of thankfulness, that there is no prerequisite, purification is not a prerequisite for it. بل يسجد, on the contrary, he prostrates وإن كان على غير طهارة, even though he may not be in a state of purification. And that is because it is not from the categories of the prayer. On the contrary, it is from being low and humble, a person humbling himself to Allah. And it is an act of worship that is for Allah. And it is from the perspective of dhikr. And likewise, it's from the perspective of glorification and declaring Allah to be deserving of worship alone. And it is from the perspective of reciting the Quran. And purification is not made a condition in these affairs, just like the Qari, just like the one who recites the Quran from other than the Mushaf. I see the Shaykh clearly points that out. Min ghayr al-Mushaf. Meaning, so in other words, a person may be reciting from his memory. Purification is not made a condition for this type of individual. فَحَكَذَا الذَّاكِرُ. And likewise, the one who is remembering Allah, and the one who is glorifying Allah, and the one who declares Allah being the only one meriting or deserving of worship by saying La ilaha illallah. That's what's being referred to. The one who seeks forgiveness. It is permissible for these types of individuals to do these things while they are not in a state of purification. هذا هو الصواب, and that is what is correct. وبعض أهل العلم قال, and some of the people of knowledge, they state إنه لابد من طهارة كالصلاة. Some of the people of knowledge, they state that it is incumbent that he be in a state of purification like the prayer. ولكنه قول مرجوح ليس عليه دليل. But however, this is a statement that is outweighed. It is less probable because there isn't anything, or there is no evidence for it. So this concludes the statement of the Shaykh. So this is giving reference to what the prostration of thankfulness is. Now continuing, I'm going to read from a fatwa of Sheikh Muhammad Nasir al-Din al-Albani from the book Jami' Turath al-Allama al-Albani fil Fiqh, and this is several volumes. This is from the 7th volume, and I would encourage the brothers and sisters, those that are capable of reading this book, to obtain it. It's a very good book. Wa lillahi alhamd. And so, in the midst of the discussion, Sheikh Al-Albani, he states, ينبغي أن تكون تلك النعمة التي أولاه الله بها أو تلك النقمة التي صرفها الله عنه أن تكون غير معتادة. He states that it is incumbent that this blessing that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala bestows upon an individual, or this trial or misfortune that Allah removes from an individual, that it is not something that is commonly occurring. It's not something that is commonly occurring. It's not something that's usual or customary. Now, this is very important. Why? Because the questioner asked about prostrating as a result of memorizing an ayah. And although obtaining of knowledge is a blessing without a doubt, but all of the Muslims memorize the Quran in some way, to some extent. Even if you just have a person memorize one chapter, Qul huwallahu ahad, or memorize the entire book, or memorize one section of one juz, or memorize 10 juz, or memorize 15 juz, whatever the case may be, it is pretty common that the Muslims are memorizing the Quran. So the Shaykh continues, يعني مثلا إنسان مرضا عاديا ثم شفي. He states, for instance, a man who falls sick with a common sickness, like a common cold or a flu or a sore throat or whatever the case may be. Then he recovers. هذا ما يقال إنه يسجد سجدة شكر. Then it is not said about this type of individual that he prostrates with a prostration of thankfulness. فينبغي أن يكون النعمة والنقمة أمر غير معتاد بين الناس. He says, but thus it is incumbent that the blessing or the mishap or misfortune, it is an issue that is outside of being common with the people. It is outside of being common with the people. And he states, هذا مثل القنوت في الصلوات الخمس إنما يكون ذلك إذا حل بالمسلمين نازلا. He states, and this example is like the qunut in the 5 prayers, that it is only, this can only be whenever some calamity befalls or strikes the Muslims. So a calamity befalls or strikes the Muslims and its magnitude and dangers are known. At this time, it is prescribed for the imam to perform the qunut. However, if what befalls the Muslims, for example, a raise in the prices, for instance, that which is considered to be normal, then there is no qunut in that regard. There is no qunut in that regard. وهكذا فالنعمة التي جاءته أو النقمة التي صرفت عنه ينبغي أن تكون غير معتادة مجيئا وصرفا فهنا يسجد للشكر. He says, and like this, or in this case, the blessing that comes to an individual, or the mishap or misfortune that is removed from an individual, it is incumbent that it is outside of what normally occurs, regardless if it's coming or it's removal. It has to be outside of what normally occurs. And in that case, a person would perform the prostration of thankfulness. So hopefully, that reading those particular statements of these 2 imams of this time has clarified this particular issue to the questioner and to those that may even view this response. And Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala knows best. I won't take up any more time. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum.